Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and dear Speechcraft members. With the immense pleasure, I welcome you all to our fourth CNSI Speechcraft meet. The mission of every Toastmasters club is to provide a supportive and a positive learning experience. In such a way, the members are empowered to improve their communication skills and leadership qualities, hence resulting in greater personality growth and self-confidence. Members of the Toastmasters are guided by a set of essential core values: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Before moving on to the meeting, I would like to brief upon certain rules which is to be followed. Kindly keep your mobile phones on silent mode. Do not talk about taboo topics such as politics, religion, and sex. Kindly sit in a silent atmosphere so that you can hear the speakers clearly. Kindly be on mute until it is your turn to speak. If you have any message to be shared or conveyed during the meeting, kindly use the chat box below. We strongly advise to have your videos turned on for a convivial meeting experience. Please rename yourself with a suffix saying TM for Toastmaster and SC for Speechcraft and the role played in the meeting. I have shared the naming template in the chat box. I hope everyone is all set and ready to get into the meeting. Now it's time to introduce our presiding officer. Our presiding officer for day is chartered accountant by profession and a diligent Toastmaster. Also, she is keen and passionate about being better than what she was yesterday. Singing is one of her hobbies and has a special interest in Tamil devotional songs. Let's welcome our presiding officer, Toastmaster Abhirami. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vignesh, for those warm words of introduction. It's great to again start the Speechcraft after a refreshing break. Okay, let me request those who are not speaking to go on mute. Yeah, so I hope you all had a refreshing break and it's again time to get back onto pace. Definitely using an opportunity is the biggest thing rather than even performing well. Using the opportunity is greater than Yeah. Okay, so now it's time to get onto today's meeting. And to run the show for today, we have our Sergeant at Arms, our Speechcraft Coordinator, Toastmaster Vignesh, again back on stage as the Toastmaster of the day. To say a few words about him, Vignesh is also the secretary of Chennai Toastmasters Club. He has been very diligent in his roles over there at the club and has been very serious about his speaking journey. That's why we even see him here on a Saturday at the CTM Speechcraft. So on this note, let me hand over the stage to the Toastmaster of our day, Toastmaster Vignesh. Over to you.
Thanks, Toastmaster Abhirami, for warm words of introduction. Good morning, friends and Speechcraft members and Toastmasters. So every Saturday, we are attending the Speechcraft meeting to improve our communication and leadership and public speaking skills. So the major objective of me attending the meeting is public speaking skills. So what is meant by public speaking? Any idea?
Speaking in front of larger audience.
Yes, exactly. Without fear, with full confidence. Yes. So every week we are attending to overcome the fear and improve confidence and convey our message effectively. So public speaking is also called oratory or oration. It means speaking face to face to a live audience. Due to the technology, now we can speak to a long distance with the help of Zoom, Teams, etc. So public speaking is important to convey the message. Actually, Chinese philosopher Confucius says that the good speech is considered that would impact the people or the listener who listens directly or indirectly. He believes that words and action has the influence to convey or change the people or the world. You would have seen TED Talks and political campaign, stand-up comedy. These are all the examples of public speaking. So in TED Talks, certain celebrity come to a stage and share their life experience, how they overcome the difficulties, how they achieve the things. And political campaign where the political leader come to the stage and share their plan and they influence the people to get the votes. Then stand-up comedy, the comedian share the life event with a funny and humorous way. These are all the quite examples of the public speaking skills. Before we deep dive into the public speaking skills, let me share the portion of the today's meeting. Today we have three sections. First one is prepared speech, where the prepared speakers come to stage, share their speech with the specific objectives. Second, we have interesting portion which is table topics, where the table topic master give the topic, so the speakers have to deliver the speech at impromptu manner. Third, we have evaluation. It is the heart of the Toastmasters meeting. So where a prepared speaker get the feedback, how they improve, and what are all the things they have to consider, what are the good and not so good things. So these are all the stages of the today's meeting. So now it's time to introduce our general evaluator. So today's general evaluator is distinguished Toastmaster Ratish, who is a passionate and enthusiastic Toastmaster. Recently, he got the highest educational Toastmaster award, which is a distinguished Toastmaster. So without further ado, I welcome Toastmaster Ratish to introduce his team and objectives. Back over to Toastmaster Ratish.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vignesh. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, speech crafters. The purpose of the general evaluator is to evaluate everything that happens in the meeting. During the meeting, I will take notes on everything that happens and does not happen. I will evaluate each participant on the meeting program and look forward for example of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, performance of duties, everything end to end. To do my general evaluation perfectly, I have a tag team: timekeeper, accounter, and a grammarian. May I request timekeeper, speech crafter Sendil to take the virtual stage and explain the role.
Hey, thank you, Ritish. So, good morning, Toastmaster and speech crafters. So before start, I would like to share the wonderful quote that is given by Harvey Mackey, which tells about the importance of the time. Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you have lost it, you can never get it back. Yes, as everyone knows, time is priceless. Today, as a timer, I'm going to help all the speakers to allot the time they have left using green, yellow, and red flashes in the screen. Okay. So today we have two agenda of speaks. One is a prepared speech, which is an icebreaker speech, which the time allot 2 to 3 minutes. At the minimum of 2 minutes, I will flash the green card. At the intermediate time of 2 minutes 30 seconds, I will flash the yellow card. At the maximum time of 3 minutes, I will flash the red card. In addition, grace time of 30 seconds will be given, after which I will flash the timer card and the speaker will be considered as a disqualified. So this is applicable for speech evaluation as well. And there is a table speech agenda is there, which the time allot is 1 to 2 minutes. At the minimum time of 1 minute, I will flash the green card. At the intermediate time of 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will flash the yellow card. At the maximum time of 2 minutes, I will flash the red card. As usual, grace time of 30 seconds will be given. After that, I will flash the timer. Also, I will make a note of the time taken by each speaker and submit my report towards the end of the meeting, which called by the general evaluator. Thank you. Over to General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Very, very well explained. You sounded like an experienced timekeeper. Thank you. And if you can show us a demo, how are you planning to show the timer card? That would be great.
Yeah. So if it is a maintained as a limited time, I will going to flash this green card. And if it is going to the timeline of 2 minutes and 30 seconds, it's a yellow card. And if it is going to the end of the time, it's a green card, red card. And if it is above grace period, I'm going to show the times of card. Flash.
Okay, that is different time up card. Thank you so much. Usually we don't show time up card, but if you are planning to show, you can continue. I would like to see that.
I hope that would not be required. Like speakers always, for past 2 weeks, I see like nobody has crossed the time limit.
I really appreciate, you're doing some improvement. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now may I request our counter speech crafter Deepak to come on the virtual stage and explain the role.
Good morning, dear Toastmaster of the Day, Vignesh, the Evaluator, other Toastmasters, and fellow speech crafters. The purpose of the R counter is to note down any overused words or filler sounds that are used by anyone who speaks during the meeting. Words may be inappropriate interjections such as well, but, so, you know, and other. During the evaluation portion of the meeting, I will report the observation when called upon. I have started learning that my mistake in public speaking is the overusage of ahs and passes. Over the past couple of 2 weeks, I have been conscious enough to limit my usage of ahs, filler sounds, and other interjections in my regular meetings. I am sure that by practice, we all can achieve the same sooner. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Ratish.
Great, great, great. Kudos to you, very well explained, and kudos to your mentor as well. Thank you so much. Now may I request grammarian Toastmaster Lakshmi Narayana to take the virtual stage and explain the role.
Thank you, General Evaluator, DTM Ratish. Good morning, Speechcraft members and Toastmasters. As a grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any misuse of English language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or even thoughts. Okay. So as a grammarian, it is also my responsibility to introduce the word of the day. And today, the word of the day is myriad. I repeat, the word of the day is myriad, which means a countless or extremely great number of people. Example, two examples I can give you. One is like the myriad health benefits of vegetarianism have been known for centuries. And second example I could give is there are myriad styles to choose from, most of which are quite attractive. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I will post this word of the day in the chat box as well. So I will give a word of the day report and the grammatical usage report when called upon during the meeting by General Evaluator. Over to you, DTM Ratish.
Thank you so much for explaining the grammarian role. At the end of the meeting, we will give our report. Thank you, and back to you, TM Modi.
Thanks, General Evaluator DTM Ratish, for introducing your team and explaining the roles and responsibilities. Now it's time to move the prepared speech section. So today, our first prepared speaker is speech crafter Saravanan. Speech crafter Saravanan. To evaluate speech crafter Saravanan, I call Toastmaster Abhinami to share the objective of his speech.
Yeah, sure, Toastmaster Vignesh. So today, the speaker will be delivering the icebreaker speech The purpose of this speech will be to introduce themselves to the club and to learn the basic structure of public speaking. All the best, speech crafter Saravanan. And timer, please note that icebreaker speeches will be 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Vignesh.
Speech crafter Saravanan. Speech crafter Saravanan.
Yes,
Please.
Vignesh.
Yeah, the stage is yours.
Hey, hi all. Good morning. Let's get into my journey of life. My life journey could be a very bit exciting, and it all started with my birth. I was born in home birth. I was born in small village in Tirthani, where the weather was so moderated. Sorry, I was in mute. Hi all. Let's get into my journey of life. My life journey is what could you say, like it's a bit of exciting. It's all about with my birth. It was a home birth. I was born in small village in Tirthani. The weather was moderated. I was named by Saravanan by my grandma due to Tamil traditional, and it is one of the famous name of Hindu god Murugan. My primary school was done in Tirthani. I moved to Chennai due to my father's job at PTC. I completed my schooling in Chennai initially. I was below average student, but as the time went, I changed to be more than average. My favorite subject is mathematics, which is I scored 195 out of 200. But the other end, my least favorite subject was English, in which I scored 110 out of 200. On joining of college, I like to enroll as culinary college, but due to my fate, I joined as engineering. All the advice by my parents and my relatives and every person in my family suggested to do engineering when engineering was picked at 2005. I completed engineering with distinction, and I was the first graduate in my family and had a few organizations on campus which I refused to attend the specific organization campus interview. But again, as a matter of life, matter of fate, I started my career same organization. As a time pass, I moved to as I moved to second organization. From there, I moved to CNSI, which is my current organization, and there it happened to be a people-oriented work, and I enjoyed continuous my career and career growth. Telling about my hobbies, I am still passionate on cooking and enjoying it. And finally, my life journey of life will not be completed without experience the new tradition and the value by traveling to different all over the place. Thank you. Thank you, Vignesh.
Thanks, speech crafter Saravanan. That was a wonderful speech. So myriad of your life incidents resonate my memories. So I'm also good at mathematics, but poor at English. That's why I came here to improve my communication skills. Yeah. Next, we have next speech crafter who going to deliver prepared speeches. Speech crafter Suresh. So before speech crafter Suresh, he did a UG in mathematics and PG in MCA. To tell about himself, he has a passion to educate poor students. And the good thing is recently his sponsored student completed PhD in economics in Pondicherry University. That was a really wonderful one. And his interest, and he wants to become an entrepreneur. So before I hand over the control to Suresh, let me call his evaluator, Toastmaster Ishwaran, to share the objective of the speaker.
Good morning, Toastmasters and speech crafters. My pleasure to be part of this meeting today. It's so wonderful to see myriad audience on video. That's something that I haven't seen in a long time. Very nice to see. Stay on in video throughout the meeting. That's so good. Happy to be part of this meeting, and I'm here to evaluate speech crafter Suresh. The purpose statement is, the purpose of this project is for the speech crafter to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. The duration is 2 to 3 minutes. Over to you, speech crafter Suresh. Before that, yeah, I'll hand over the control back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thanks, Toastmaster Ishwaran. So, speech crafter Suresh, the virtual stage is yours.
Morning, everyone. This is Suresh, as you are aware of that. And then basically born in Polu, which is the southern part of Tamil Nadu. And I relocated to Pondicherry, citing my father's work location, joining the civil service sector. So I just got relocated to it. And moving on to my schooling and family life as a short glimpse. I did my schooling run by the government school. Since my father is a school principal, retired principal, he wants to educate his kids and brought up in the government school itself. So as a part of his initiative, I was put up in the government school, did my education in mathematics, and moved on to pursue the postgraduate in MCA from Pondicherry University. And moving on to my family life, I'm married, I'm blessed with 2 kids. First daughter is pursuing first standard at Vellamal Vision School, Maripakam. My son is pursuing a pre-KG in a local daycare center that is named as Love Care School in Maripakam. And moving on to my career, I started my career as a tester after serving or spending a few years, that is of about 4 years in Frenchtown in Pondicherry. At this juncture, I got an overseas job to relocate in Singapore. Without any hesitation, I accepted the offer and relocated to Singapore in a short span of time of about 15 days because getting overseas job is a dream for everyone at that point of time. So I started to move on to Singapore Airlines, start working as a QA consultant in Singapore. Then moved on to all facets of software testing verticals. Mean to say that it has 5 to 6 phases of SDLC. So I worked on all phases of SDLC, be it sales or be it proof of concept, be it doing the testing activity. I worked on in all these arenas. And I traveled to many regions, not only in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, to do the sales activity, tackled to the software testing life cycle. And this span worked on or moved on till 2019. Relocation to India came in picture. Relocation to India, citing the age factor of my parents in the year 2019. I moved on in April 2019. CNSI sourced me through LinkedIn. So it's an interesting story behind it to join in CNSI. One of my seniors who was a VP in CNSI sourced me. He just pinged me and then, are you looking for any options or looking for any openings? This is how our interaction started and the interview got settled down. And finally, I landed up a job in CNSI and started to work here as a senior quality lead in CNSI. So just people say that a lot of channels get connected. So as a part of the advanced in the technology sector, LinkedIn is a tool that we get connected now. So this is how our connection point gets established in CNSI. And the last part is that passion to educate poor students and evolve as an entrepreneur. So I used my talents to help financially unstable students. And as this array extends from school children to scholars. And as you said recently, one of my students sponsored, who was on my sponsorship, completed his PhD in economics from Pondicherry University. And moving on to the entrepreneurship, my entrepreneurship dreams are still stuck due to a lot of many factors, advices from my parents and advice from my friends. So now the time has come up to evolve or to reinvent the strategy that has left out with the help of the creative technologies that comes up with the market or getting evolved every day. That's it from my end. Thank you.
Thanks, speech crafter Suresh. That was really wonderful speech, and I cordially thank and congratulate for doing that scholarship and supporting for the poor students, and wish you will soon become a very good, excellent entrepreneur. So that I'm sure. Next, we have speech crafter. Third speech crafter is speech crafter Vimal. I could not see speech crafter Vimal on stage.
Yeah. This Francis V is my sir.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, to to tell about speech crafter Vimal. So speech crafter Vimal is going to deliver his icebreaker speech. He's passionate about delivering his speech, and before that, I introduce his evaluator to share about the objective. Toastmaster Ishwaran, please share the objective of.
Vignesh, I think we will alternate so that
Okay,
we
so
can have a session. Yeah.
to
So,
evaluate speech crafter Vimal, I request Toastmaster Abhirami to share the objective.
yes, thank you. So this will again be another icebreaker. So the same objectives will continue to apply. Timer, please note that the time is 2 to 3 minutes for this speech. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Vignesh.
Thanks, Toastmaster Abhirami. Speech crafter Vimal, the virtual stage is yours.
Good morning, Toastmaster and speech crafters. In the year 1980, June 30th, Monday morning, 5 o'clock, a young pregnant lady, her name is Philomena, is weeping and crying for help to give a new birth. So around 8:30 a.m., she alarmed, and little silence. The people outside the door heard a little baby sound. And a young man named called Francis entered into the room and carried the new baby and found it is a male and named it as Vimal Perinayakam. The baby none other than me, and they are my parents, and my village is Mukayu. The days are passed very smoothly. I started my schooling in the municipal school for my primary education. Then my father decided to move me from home to hostel. So I joined St. Anne's Higher Secondary School for my further school educations. I have scored 80% mark in my annual exam. My father asked me to become CA, but I'm not interested to become CA. I want to become an engineer. But my father approached Loyola College, Chennai, got to become application form and applied for me for, become. Fortunately for me and unfortunately for my father, I got BSc Mathematics in Loyola College. The college first year, I stopped communicating with my classmate because of my poor communication. So I avoiding people to communicate. My seniors advised me to improve my communication. I need to communicate with the other state people. At the time, I agreed and communicate with them and learned a little bit advanced to communicate with others. Then I have a 1 year gap between my UG and PG degree. At the 1 year gap, I started learning a computer course. Then my sister advised me to study MCA. I joined in Panisad University to complete my MCA. Then I moved back to Chennai for my IT career. 1.5 years I wasted there, but didn't get a job there. Then I go to Bangalore for my further job searching. There also I didn't get job. My cousin advised me, instead of searching your dream job, you fit yourself in one of the job, then search your dream job. I got a opportunity to get a training placement in Mumbai. I completed my training in Mumbai, then came back to Chennai, and I got a job in First Source as application support engineer. Then I married a girl called Amelia Mary, and currently she's running my PG. And I have 2 kids. My son name is Ishwa, and my daughter name is Trinita Mary. Thank you.
Thanks, speech crafter Vimal. That was indeed a wonderful speech. Next, we have a speech crafter Karthik Ayan. So to tell about Karthik Ayan, he loves traveling. He loves traveling with roaming with friends, family, and he also likes to spend time with his family. So before I hand over control to Karthik, let me ask his evaluator, Toastmaster Ishwaran, to share his speech objectives.
Yeah, here I am. Thank you. Just a minute. Okay. Just give me the speaker's name. Speaker's name is Karthik, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning again. I'm here to evaluate another speech crafter, Karthik, who's here to deliver a speech on the guide, organize his speech rather. The speaker is to present a speech that is organized in a manner that leads the audience to a clearly defined goal. It includes a beginning, a body, and a conclusion. So the duration of the speech is 2 to 3 minutes. I will give my evaluation report when the general evaluator calls me to do. All the best. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thanks, Toastmaster Ishwaran. Speech crafter Karthik Ayan, My Dindukkal. My Dindukkal, speech crafter Karthik Ayan.
Thank you, Rajesh, for sweet words about me. And good morning, Toastmasters and speech crafters. So my topic is my Dindukkal. Through my topic, you guys catch my hometown is Dindukkal. Yes, the great Dindukkal is my native, and I am going to talk about Dindukkal today. Talking about hometown is always special for everyone. Me too. I don't want to talk and boring you history of my hometown, and I am planning to talk about some interesting item about my town. Okay, I will come to the topic. Dindukkal district is one of the 38 districts in state of Tamil Nadu, and Dindukkal is the largest district in Tamil Nadu by area. Initially, before 1985, Dindukkal was part of Madurai district. After 1985, the Dindukkal district was started and announced Dindukkal is a separate district in Tamil Nadu. Okay. Next, what are the famous places in Dindukkal? Myriad places located in Dindukkal. Few famous places are Palani, the Lord Murugan famous temple located here. Yes, Palani also part of the Dindukkal district. Next, the Kodaikanal, Queen of Hills, the great hill station like Ooty. The next one, the Sirumalai, one of the developing tourism places in Dindukkal. Small hill station, many resorts are there, low budget tourism places, and you can enjoy the awesome climate there. And as usual, many famous temples are surrounding in Dindukkal. Okay, the next item is the primary business in Dindukkal. The primary business, the Dindukkal is a very lock industries are many is there. The Dindukkal lock is very famous around the globe. The Dindukkal locks are known throughout the world for their superior quality and durability. Dindukkal locks provides additional safety of your home. And also processing factories of tannery, textiles, and many more there in my town. Okay, then final at last, the Ammi item in Dindukkal. Okay, Dindukkal is famous for its Jeeraga Samba biryani, and it is also known as the biryani city. Please note, it is very useful for you if you choose crossing the Dindukkal or if you get a chance to visit Dindukkal. There are two famous restaurants to taste the Ammi biryani. One is the Venu biryani inside the Dindukkal. The next one is the Talapakatti Naidu biryani. This shop is located inside the Dindukkal and also Palani as well. But the Talapakatti Naidu biryani is located in Chennai as well. But always the Dindukkal biryani is special, always. Actually, I'm done with the topic. Thanks everyone for providing this opportunity. Over to Toastmaster Vignesh. Thanks.
Speech crafter Karthik Ayan. So yeah, even I am staying in Bangalore. I ordered Dindukkal Talapakatti biryani. The taste was, any dish cannot meet the taste of the Dindukkal Talapakatti biryani. Yeah. So next we have speech crafter Shree Priya to tell about herself. She is a MTech graduate working as a senior quality lead in CNSI. Her passion is to stitching and learning a new fashions. She is also a passionate speech crafter who takes roles in speech crafter meeting. To tell about, to share his speech objective, let me call Toastmaster Abhirami.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vignesh. So the speech objectives for this speech will be the same as the prior one, and the allotted time is 4 to 5 minutes. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Vignesh.
Thanks, Toastmaster Abhirami. Yeah, speech crafter Shree Priya, the virtual stage is yours. Shree Priya, you are speaking on mute.
Sorry, I was talking in mute. Actually, I prepared for like organizing the speech, not the table topic section. So this is the same, right?
It's the organized speech.
Speech only. Okay.
Delivering a speech. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So hi all. Thank you, Abhi and Vignesh, for clarifying. And so today the topic I want to share with you is about the generation gap. So to start with, like I would say, like generation gap, what is for me, what it actually, I just gave a small definition for that. That is, generation gap is the difference in opinions between generations. That is, it can be about their religious beliefs or political thoughts or about any cultural values. So it can be anything, any difference in opinion we can take as a generation gap. And so coming to my life, I face this generation gap in my childhood and or in my younger days, as well as even now I am facing that generation gap. So in my younger days with my parents, like especially my father, I had a passion to learn dance, and my father, he was a very orthodox person and he didn't want me to dance in front of many people and he didn't allow me to learn dance. So I was so I was so sad at that time. And what I did, like now my daughter is there, I am trying to trying to have her have her passion as dance, but she's telling, why are you so passionate about dance? I don't want to be more into dance. I have other things to do, like I can play guitar, I can play violin. Why are you so forcing me in the dance to be my passion? So this is the generation gaps that that this is a simple example I am bringing to your notice in what happened in my life. So to give more details, coming to more details, let me give, I would like to give more points on the generation gap that we face in the current organizations. So for that, like we have, we have, let's put that into 3 groups. Like we have the Generation X, that the people who are born in early 60s, and the millennials, the people who are born in early 80s, and the Generation Z's, the people who are born in the early 2000s. So about the people who like the Generation X group. So these people are like, they form around 30% of the current work population, and they are like they are very hardworking person, because they are not born on technology. Like they have learned the technology to get a career and to move in their career. And so these people, they will be very patient, and they have like there are advantages and disadvantages. Like they are ready to hard work, and as an employer, they consider them as the best workers. And also there are disadvantages, like they never like to have a change in their career. They want to be in the same way that they are moving in their career. So that is one thing I have seen, but I cannot say it is a it's a disadvantage. I would like to put that in this way, like these people are like not very prone to the attrition that's happening to the companies. And coming to the next generation group, that is the Generation Millionaires. So these people, they constitute the myriad. I can say they constitute the myriad of this group, and because they form around 75% of the current workforce. And they are also like not born on top of the technology, but I think around their college days or in mid of their school days, they started using the internet, Facebook, Orkut, so all those things. And now the situation is like that they cannot live without internet. So they will be like a combination of the new generation and the old generation, where they also they are also partially hardworking, and they like to have changes, but they don't want to have a big drastic change in their life, but they want a better next level of change, and they enjoy growth and other challenges they are able to take. So coming to the last group, they are the one who are born on top of the technology, and they are the very what I can say, they are multitaskers, very adaptable, creative. So these people, but they are like they are very reliant on the technology. And let me conclude with these points. So this generation gap, it always exists throughout our family or in an organization or in a society. But let's go with that and be used to that. That is always be good in our life. So I had some more points, but my time is out. So let me conclude with this. Thank you, and over to Toastmaster Vignesh.
Thanks to speech crafter Shree Priya. So wonderfully articulated the generation gap with the myriads of examples. That was really a good speech. So back to public speaking. So the origin of public speaking comes from Greece and Rome. Of course, those societies didn't have slideshows or any other medium to telecast or show to the people, but they did have a very good public speaking. So how and why they use the public speaking is to persuade the people and convince them and to get the work done easily, because they believe that persuasion is more effective than force. So next we have table topic session. So to conduct table topic, we have speech crafter Vignesh to tell about few words about speech crafter Vignesh. He lives in Chennai. His hobbies are watching movies and TV shows. Over to you, speech crafter Vignesh.
Thank you, Toastmaster, for your kind words of introduction. Fellow Toastmasters and speech crafters, good morning. One of the most exciting portions of the Toastmaster or the Speechcraft meeting is the table topic session. The myriad objective is to challenge the members to develop and improve the communication skills effectively. That is, to think on the fly by answering the unrehearsed question. We also wanted to give each member an opportunity to speak at this meeting. So the table topic is specially designed to develop the essential communication skills like listening, thinking, organizing, and speaking. So let's see the rules of the table topic. So you will have at least 1 minute and you cannot go more than 2 minutes. You will see a green signal after the 1 minute and a yellow signal at 1 minute and 30 seconds and a red signal after 2 minutes. I also encourage you to use the word of the day, myriad. So let's get started with Guru. It's over to Guru. And the topic for the day for Guru is time is precious. Time is precious. And over to Guru.
Guru, you're on mute.
Hey, sorry. So thanks, Vignesh, for the topic. And good morning, fellow Toastmasters and speech chapters. So to talk about the time is precious, yes. Our timer, Sindhil, has already given a very good explanation about how time is very precious. So there is nothing new to talk about more how he has already given the more explanation about the time. So I'm very what to pick and explain is totally from what he has said to from that I need to give a difference is much difficult for me. But let me try to provide my insights about the time. Yes, the time is more important, and it is more. If it is not being utilized at the right point of time, then you will lose the opportunity. And to grab the opportunity knocks the door once in a time, they used to say. And that time we need to ensure we need to make use of that time, and we need to do our best excellence in whatever the role it has been given to us. So everyone should know the value of the time, I would say. And more about on that is like other, maybe I could say that time is more of precious if you lost. Thanks, Vignesh, for the opportunity. Over to the Toastmaster Vignesh. Thank you.
Thanks, Guru. It was really nice. Like you picked up very well and gave us some very good examples of time. So next on stage is Lokesh. So for Lokesh, the topic for the day is my favorite hero. My favorite hero. Over to Lokesh.
Vignesh, I think Lokesh is not in the call.
Looks like he didn't join. You can skip on to the next person. Just take a look if they're available on screen before you call them out.
Yeah, sure. So next I'd like to call upon Ranjit. So the topic for the day for Ranjit is life without mobile. Life without mobile. Ranjit, the stage is yours.
Thank you for the topic. And good morning, fellow masters. Now coming to talk about without mobile. So nowadays in 2000 years, in 2000, we don't see that the people have mobile. Many of them now everyone is having the mobile with Android. So wherever you go, if suppose if you are not aware the place where you want to go, you can use the location map on your Android mobile that will take you to the destination place. So nowadays, mobile is very important for everyone. Without them, most of the 80% of activities we cannot do it on time. So we all require mobile with Android mobile that is very helpful for us. In older days, we have a telegram. If any urgent message you want to convey to your native place, we will use the telegram. That will take time to convey the message for 2 to 3 days. But now if we are having a mobile, within a minute, we can convey the message to all over the world. So definitely we are very happy to having the mobile. That is very now in this generation, definitely we all require the mobile with Android app. Nowadays you are seeing that due to pandemic, many children are attending the online classes through the mobile. So in this generation, we all require the mobile Vignesh. So now I conclude my topic and over to Vignesh.
Thanks, Ranjit. That was really very nice. So starting from the mobile, you have given us all the details about that. So next, we have speech crafter Manoj. And this topic for the day would be, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? So Manoj, the stage is yours.
So good morning, fellow speech crafters and Toastmasters. Hi Vignesh, thanks for choosing me to share my happiness. Honestly, what makes me happy? I'll tell you one thing. I hope that will make happy everyone present over here. It is not a word. It is just an emotion. Especially if you are being in South India, okay, if you are born and brought up in South India, and if you are used to the cultures of South India, before even I could say what makes me happy, you guys could have understood. There's a myriad of items available in that option. So I guess you would have guessed it, right? Yes, biryani. Biryani makes me happy. In any point of the day, if I am tired, okay, if I am overwhelmed with joy, if I am there, after a very big day, give me one bucket of biryani or one plate of biryani, I can finish it off. And that makes me happy. And biryani has so many varieties, okay? So I think if there are vegetarians, I'm not with you. I'm honestly telling you, I'm not with you. So biryani means it's a non-vegetarian thing. It's an emotion. So that connect, right? That connect whatever we have with our emotion, that makes me happier. Thanks, Vignesh. Thanks for the opportunity, and over to you.
Thanks, Manoj. That made me really happy. So next on the stage would be Sundar. So the topic for Sundar is, how will you prepare for a trip? How will you prepare for a trip? Yeah. Over to Sundar.
Yeah, thanks, Vignesh, for this giving. So hi, good morning all. So when we travel, first we have to prepare before very well, because we will face some problem at that time of traveling. So before we travel, we have to prepare the time. So what time we have to start, then where we have to, at what time we have to reach out. So in that, so what are the things we have to carry? For example, water and the sufficient money. What are the needs to carry? For example, sometimes if it's a winter, so carrying some for a record for these things. So those and all we have to pre-planned very well. So if we planned, then we can avoid some in the traveling the unnecessary things. So after if you reach, before the traveling, you have to call and schedule. So the destination, if you go to some the relations, then before we have to inform them, we are starting this time. So we will approximately we will reach that time. So that we can plan. They will make it available for area. Otherwise, if they are not available, then it will make problem for us. Otherwise, they will send. They are also some. They have at the time they have some work. If you without a plan, if you go to if some of our neighbors, so they also they have also facing some trouble. So if anything in travel, have to plan before that timing and the availability of the person. Yeah, that is the main thing. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Vignesh.
Thanks, Sundar. That was really very nice, and you gave us a lot of tips on how to plan and how to travel. So the next on stage would be Sumita. So the topic for Sumita is best saving options. Best saving options. The stage is over to Sumita.
Thank you, Vignesh, for the opportunity, and good morning, everyone. So the best option for savings. Initially, I was, when I joined office, I didn't know that something can be saved from the salary that we get. So we tend to spend everything. And then due to income tax, thanks to that, we started putting money in LIC policies. And another option, what I would say is, people can learn about stock exchanges. Okay, stock exchange is one good area wherein we can spend or we can save money if you properly invest in certain things. Okay, and apart from that, there should be what I feel is for a planning, for for an advanced planning, for lifetime planning. There should be a constant income that comes to us. Okay, so we should think of having some property, like buying something like apartment or any house, and then giving it for rent so that you get a constant income out of it. So even if you are jobless in between and you are struggling, rent like that will come. And one more option is gold purchase, which I guess every husband will know, and every housewife or working woman will be definitely investing in terms of money. And one last thing which I really felt was important is that if we have elderly people at home, or even for our immediate need, in case of emergency or anything, it is better to have a cash of around 10,000 or 20,000 at hand at home. So that whenever there is any emergency or anything, you don't have to think of going to ATM and getting it if GPay is not working, phone is not working. All these issues we don't have to think of. So we can avoid situations like that. So these are the few things that I feel would help people. So thank you so much. And I like to stop before Sendil shows time up. And I think if I continue, he will say, stand up on the bench. That will be the last one, I guess. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Vignesh.
That was a myriad of information and a thoughtful information on the saving options. Actually, like next April, I think like we can directly contact Sumita for all our saving options.
Definitely.
Over to Toastmaster Vignesh.
Thanks, speech crafter Vignesh. It was a really wonderful session. Your session contains a myriad of intriguing topics. So it was not like a random topics. It was eye-opening for me. I got to know the investment ideas and time-saving ideas. Thanks for that. Next, we have come into the heart of the Toastmaster meetings. It is evaluation. So where the evaluators share the constructive feedback for everyone's growth. To conduct evaluation, let me call our distinguished Toastmaster Ratish. Toastmaster Ratish, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vignesh. This is the evaluation portion for participating. Here we lift each other to do better always. We are Toastmasters and speech crafters here executed quality meeting. I'm very happy today. First, we will hear speech evaluators giving evaluation of today's speakers. Then I will do my general evaluation of the program. Each evaluator will get 2 to 3 minutes to evaluate the speaker. Our first speech evaluator is Toastmaster Vignesh. He is our Chief Speech Craft Coordinator. He is going to evaluate speech crafter Saravanan speech. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ratish. Yes, now it's time to evaluate my target speaker, speech crafter Saravanan. Firstly, congratulations, speech crafter Saravanan, for delivering your icebreaker speech, and to every speaker who delivered their icebreaker speech, because the first step is the most difficult step, and that marks your start on a journey of 1,000 miles. So kudos for having the courage to start your journey. Now, what I liked about your speech, there are 3 things that I really liked about your speech. First thing is the smile that you carried all through from the start to the end. Because as an audience, when we tend to see the speaker, more than what you say, it is your face or the expressions is what that connects to the audience first. So that way, I felt you were really cool and you were enjoying the stage. That is one thing that I liked about your speech. The second is the chronological structure. In an icebreaker, one of the main objective is to introduce yourself to the audience. So that way you did justice by sharing all the parts of your life, right? From your schooling on to, where you were born, your schooling to your office. So that way you had all the data or details that you should be ideally sharing in an icebreaker, including your interest in cooking. I'm sure there'd be some people who didn't know that you were really interested in the cooking piece. So that would be something new even for your office teammates or the Speechcraft members over here. So that's really good. And overall, you met the objective. Certain things that I would want you to improve or keep in mind to make the next speech better is, first thing, in terms of the opening. I think when you opened, I felt you started, let's get into my life journey. So I felt that was slightly not as powerful. Like when you're having opening, it should be grabbing the attention of the audience. You can say some fact or something that would invite their attention rather than having a generic statement. Maybe that can be something after, let's get into my life journey, can be after you give that initial statement. That can be like a transitioning statement, but not the first statement. That way your starting will be more attractive and people will be more inclined to listen. The second part, I think you missed about the details about your family. So we didn't get to know about your family. You could have shared about that. That was the only element I think that was missed. Overall, in the conclusion also maybe like generally to connect in an icebreaker, what we try to do when we add the conclusion. I like the part where you said you want to travel and do more of exploring and all that. You can also add about what you wanted to learn out of the speechcraft to just connect into what we are finishing here. So that would be one of the ways you can strengthen your conclusion as well. Overall, a very good job. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Ratish.
Thank you so much for the evaluation. Very good evaluation. Yes, I agree with all your points. Speech Crafter Saravanan, it was a good speech and it was humorous too. Rarely I see people adding humor in the icebreaker speech. You absolutely not adding speech here. You were comfortable and very.
Ratish, your voice is slightly muffled. Do you want to just check it? Just unplug your headset and just plug it again.
How about now?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And our next evaluator is Toastmaster Ishwar. one of our experienced Toastmaster evaluating our next speaker, speech crafter Suresh. Over to you, Toastmaster Ishwaran.
Thank you, General Evaluator. There are two mistakes one can make along the road in life. One, not going all the way, and the other, not starting at all, said Gautama Buddha. What a beautiful statement it is. It is all relevant to every one of us present here. Many congratulations to you, speech crafter Suresh, for kickstarting your journey with an icebreaker. It was a lucid speech, which I enjoyed throughout your speech. You started well with an introduction about your family. You were very confident throughout your speech. I couldn't spot any butterflies in your stomach. And the grammar that you used was so simple. It was easy to follow for anybody present here. And the passion that you carried, especially when you talked about guiding the students, the scholarships that you were talking about, we saw the humanity, human side of you in those aspects. And your wish to become an entrepreneur was nicely coined. Best wishes to you for that as well. Now, if I can spot a few areas of improvement where you can work on in your subsequent speeches, they are: one, when you speak, every word, every syllable in a word should be heard. It's very important so that we absorb your speech completely. I found in some places, because of the speed in dialogue delivery, certain words I couldn't hear clearly. Please take note of this. When you give any speech, you will have different audience in the sitting and listening to you. It's very important not to use acronyms. Always say full form, quality assurance, software development life cycle, rather than saying QA, SDLC, etc. Everybody may or may not understand. Here, probably it's all corporate crowd, but generally everybody may not understand. Just take care of this. And the camera position. When you stand and speak, we get to see more of you. When you sit and speak, we can only see limited part of you. In that case, the hand gestures, the movements, the body language, all of that need to be brought out better. So take care of the camera position in which we can see you maximum and not the background much. And whenever you give an icebreaker, I'm sure we all have some funny moment, some naughty moment as a child, or something that would have happened in your college, school, or corporate life. Maybe you could have touched upon that because everybody may know about your aspirations and goals, but not all of them may know what you did as a school child, what you did at home with your sibling. All of that you could have probably brought. And one important thing that I was waiting for you to talk about is what made you land in speechcraft? Why are you here? What is the aim that you want to achieve out of this? So these are the things that you can touch upon, you could have touched upon, but yeah, you can still take it up as a separate speech and deliver. To summarize, full of confidence, and you talked about yourself, you talked about what you want to do, your future aspirations, etc. And then if you can just cover these aspects in terms of dialogue delivery, the pace, and the clarity of words, I think you are definitely going to become an excellent public speaker in the coming days. Thank you. All the best. Looking forward to hearing further speeches from you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ishwaran. It was well-constructed, constructive feedback. Thank you so much. To add few more points to speech crafter Suresh, you started with where you were born and moved to Pondicherry and different places, right? So that was really nice. You got a great voice. I just during the speech, I closed my eyes and I was listening to you for a few seconds. You sounded like a radio jockey to me. Thank you so much for that. It was a great attempt. Moving on to our next speech crafter, I would again request Toastmaster Abhirami to evaluate speech crafter Vimal.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Ratish. Yes, to my target speaker, speech crafter Vimal. I was really awestruck once you started. Honestly, I didn't expect that kind of a start. A dramatized start. He took us into a story. Generally, in office, we give presentations, we state facts. Sorry for the background noise, but yeah. So, but in a speech, prepared speech, when you're trying to grab the attention of the audience, the first tool is storytelling, and he used that. The way he picturized his, his mother struggling and his father coming into the room, all that was just amazing. Second thing that more astonished, me was his pace. Generally, when we start speaking, we become a little fast because we want to finish. There's a tendency to go fast. But Speechcrafter Vimal had that pace all through his speech. He didn't rush. He was there at that pace, which was easy for us to absorb. That was really good. And the third that I liked about his speech was the humor. The way he said, fortunately, I didn't get it. Unfortunately, my father, it was unfortunate for my father. The way you put that line, fortunately for me or unfortunately for my father, because you didn't get that course for CA or BCom. So that had a humor punch, which was really good. So overall, when I look at your speech, you definitely met the objective of delivering your icebreaker, where you shared all the details, right, from your schooling, your family, all elements were there, what all you like, what you don't like. And even the transition after the start, you said, as days passed by, and then you went on. So those small things that you took care of was really amazing. I can see that you have sat down with your mentor and got the script very well reviewed and done. Overall, it was really good. Now, if I have to talk about the things that you can improve, because there is always room for improvement, there are two things, Speechcrafter Vimal. So first thing is, I think you should have practiced this more. Then you would have known how much time your speech would have taken, and you would have been able to fit it within the allotted time, because delivering something within an allotted time is a very important art, which we are trying to learn by delivering these speeches. So always you must practice enough to ensure, to be aware that your speech will be finished within 2 to 3 minutes. So that is one thing. The second part, this is just something that I'm adding. It may not be a very crucial one. I felt you could have smiled a little more. Most of the times you were a little neutral when you were delivering your speech. Now you are smiling, but that time if you had the same smile, this laugh, if it was there, it would have become ultimate. So this is something you can just try for the next speeches. Overall, very well organized. All the elements you have it. And keep doing this good job of sitting with your mentor and getting your speech structure, whatever, improved. Very good job. Thank you. Back to you, Distinguished Toastmaster Ratish.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Abhirami. It was so encouraging. You not only encouraged the speaker, you also encouraged his mentor. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I agree with you completely, Toastmaster Speechcrafter Vimal. The way you started your story, I also like that. In 1980, young, beautiful woman was crying. That the tone, it was like I was hearing a war announcement. It was a kind of monotonous tone, right? So I like that. I loved your art of storytelling a lot. Kudos to you. Thank you so much. Moving on to our next speaker, I would request Toastmaster Ishwaran again to evaluate Speechcrafter Karthik Ayan's speech.
Thank you, General Evaluator Ratish. I'm back to you to present the evaluation for Toastmaster Karthik Ayan. Okay, this speech is all about organizing your speech, right? Now, what are the 3 elements that are required in this speech? I'm going to dissect that entire evaluation based on that. It includes opening, body, conclusion. These are the 3 elements that I am expected to evaluate. Let me start. The title was so catchy. When I heard the title, I knew that you are going to reveal a lot of information about your native. And whenever we talk about our natives, the passion comes automatically. And I saw that on your face throughout your speech when you presented various information about your native town. It was all about myriad of information, starting from your district, number of districts in Tamil Nadu, to industries and hotels. You covered every possible point. Kudos to you. You talked about number of districts, and you said that this is the largest district in Tamil Nadu, 38 districts. I immediately checked. Yes, all of them were perfectly correct. But a very important thing that it is included in your speech objective is to include source of information. When you say 38 districts, when you say the largest district, it's good also to include the source. Maybe you could have taken from a website, a government website. You could have just touched upon that as an information that would have been really credible to your overall speech. Now, when you talked about the tourist places, temples, everything was so good, right? I could relate it because I have visited your place several times and I was able to relate it to whatever you spoke about. Now, very important thing that I was looking for is the transition that was happening between each of these segments. For example, you talked about the district. From there, you moved to the hotels, and then you moved to the industries. You touched upon the lock industry as such, which is the largest. And then finally, you talked about the food. Now, when you talk about food, where is that the appetizer? You should have created the appetizer among everybody. I was expecting two people to go get some coffee or at least a box of food to eat. That could have come in your speech. But overall, an excellent speech. Like, I love the way you presented your speech. It had an excellent opening, a body which contained key facts about your district. And then if you can include the source of information, if you can include, take care of the transition, that's very important. When you move from one to the other, bring in transition, bring some comedy. For example, you talked about your lock industry. We have heard in a lot of movies, about this lock. Like that we have heard, right? You could have touched upon something, some humor into that. It would have made people laugh, smile when you speak. So if you can take care of these aspects, and the end has to be very important. You probably need to end saying, you want to visit Dindigul, you want to be part of these amazing places, do visit. I am here to take care of you. That would have been a punch in your ending. Overall, excellent start, excellent speech. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much once again for the wonderful evaluation. I agree with you completely. Speechcrafter Karthik Ayan, my town, Dindigul, it was perfectly a brilliant idea to take an interesting subject and deliver it as a project. Very good. The way you use the word of the day, I like that very much. Well-structured speech. You covered almost everything about your town. Great to listen to you. Thank you so much for that. And to evaluate next speech crafters, Shree Priya, I would request Toastmaster Abhirami on the stage.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Ratish. So here we go. Speech crafter Shree Priya, it was a delight to see you performing today. I think only 2 people did this particular objective for the first time today. And that's really amazing to be one among the first and give your best. So the good things that I liked about your speech. So first thing, even before I start telling what I like, I would like to remind that I'll be evaluating purely only on the organizational aspects as to whether the intro, body, conclusion was flowing through and whether there were transitions. So into that, so first thing, in terms of choosing your topic, the topic that you chose was very, very relatable. The moment you spoke about generation gap, I'm sure each one in this room is aware of it and were able to relate and absorb what you were giving to us. You had an introduction, you had a body. Of course, there was a timing restriction and the conclusion dropped off that we will see in the second part of the evaluation. But in terms of the structuring, there was an intro where you started by defining to the audience what you think is generation gap. From there, you moved on into the body of the speech where you're giving an example of your personal life, where how you faced there's very, very early glimpses of generation gap in your life and what happened. And also then you went on to the office part. So the structuring is good. The things that I would actually want to suggest in terms of making the speech better on the organizational aspects is first thing in the intro, when you start, instead of saying this is my topic, because everyone will have a topic. So that may be one of the ways, but you can make it more, more attractive by starting with a story or starting with your own story. Like, I wanted to join in a dance class and my father said no to it. That can be the start, rather than saying my topic is this and defining. Because generally this defining approach you can follow, but that would be better for a presentation at office or at school. So it depends. What we are learning here is depending on the situation, we'll change things. So for this speech, you can try that. Second, when you went on to the body, where you're talking about your personal aspects of this generation gap. And then when you move on to office, if you see there is a slight gap, like this explanation in office, the generations, that information is amazing, but there is one line that you might have to add in between, which might be like, the reason for the generation gap is because people are across, born across multiple generations, going through multiple things in their life. There is so much of diversity. So maybe you could have added a minute over that topic and then gone on to explaining the generations, which would be like a bridge talking about what is generation gap and why generation gap is happening. And then you're explaining the generations, which is the example of why the generation gap occurs. So that way there will be a transition when you're presenting your ideas from one piece to another. The last bit, when you're closing, you could have given an example of a generation gap at office. And also you could have said what you can do to avoid generation gap, like promoting diversity and inclusion at office is one of the measures to bridge that gap, because diversity is something that really helps. You could have taken a closure. Of course, there was less time. So maybe next time when you prepare, you can practice to ensure, you should have a clock and practice to ensure that you finish within 4 to 5 minutes and have a full complete structure. Overall, a great attempt, good choice of topic. Thank you. Back to you, distinguished Toastmaster Ratish.
Thank you so much for the wonderful evaluation. Yes, I agree with you again and again. Speech crafter Shree Priya. Generation gap, you defined it very well as opinion difference, and you said few things very well. Passion cannot be forced, and generation gap in organization was also very well explained. You used word of the day perfectly. Thank you so much and kudos to you. And if you have heard every speech evaluator, they reiterated one thing: practice makes man perfect. So let's follow that. We are moving up the ladder. We are completing one by one level. So let's practice, rehearse. This is for everyone. Let's practice and rehearse every time before we take the virtual stage. Now moving on to the tag team. I would request timekeeper speech crafter Senthil to provide the timer report.
Thank you, Ritish. I just share my screen.
Sure.
Okay. So kudos to everyone. The myriad of the number of people have within the time, and I appreciate that. So here is the time report that I have calculated and done. And speech crafter Saravanan, who has completed his icebreaker speech within 2 minutes and 42 seconds. And speech crafter Suresh, he completed his icebreaker speech in 3 minutes 54 seconds. And speech crafter Vimal, he has completed 3 minutes 10 seconds, which is a little more with the time limit. And in the organization speech crafter Karthik, he has done his speech within 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Speech crafter Shree Priya, she completed her speech within 5 minutes and 40 seconds, within above the time limit. And when it comes to the table topic, speech crafter Guru, he completed his speech with 1 minute 40 seconds. Speech crafter Ranjit completes 2 minutes 1 second for his speech. Speech crafter Manoj completed speech within 1 minute 30 seconds. Speech crafter Sundar, he completed speech within 1 minute 53 seconds. And finally, speech crafter Sumita has completed his speech 2 minutes and 14 seconds. So comes to the evaluator. Evaluator Abhi, who evaluates speech crafter Saravanan within 2 minutes and 55 seconds. And evaluator Ishwaran, who evaluates speech crafter Suresh within 3 minutes 14 seconds. And evaluator Abhirami again evaluates speech crafter Vimal in 3 minutes 8 seconds. And again, evaluator Ishwaran evaluates speech crafter Karthik Ayan with 3 minutes 12 seconds. And evaluator Abhirami evaluates speech crafter Shree Priya in 3 minutes 35 seconds. So thank you to all, and over to Ritish.
Thank you so much, timekeeper speech crafter Senthil. Your time up card worked very well. Thank you so much for that.
Unfortunately, today it got used.
I would request our counter speech crafter Deepak to provide the report for us.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ratish. I'm sharing my screen. The counter report starts with the Toastmaster Vignesh. There were 3+ hours So was used multiple times. B had 1 R. Ratish, I was curiously watching to catch the R's, but couldn't, and it was a flawless performance as usual. And then Sindhil had 2 R's. The grammarian Lakshmi had 2 R's. Saravanan had 2 R's, and other reports here. There are very limited passes. It was a real achievement, Saravanan. And then Suresh had 3+ R's. This is an area of improvement. The flow was really smooth. It was a nice speech altogether. Vimal had 3 passes. The speech was very engaging, and the area of improvement is R's. And Karthik, it was a very informative speech where we had a learning about a particular place. Area of improvement is R's and the repetitions. The word the was used multiple times. This has to be improvised. And Shree Priya, R's and like was used multiple times. It was pleasant listening to her. She delivered the speech with a smile, which was really engaging. And then comes the table topic convener, Vignesh. So was used multiple times. And his speech was with the body language. It was really nice to see. Guru's biggest strength is his timing of things. He rightly pointed out Sindhil's activity towards his table topic. 3 was his count of R's. Manoj had 3 R's. There were 0 passes. It was excellent speech, Manoj. And then Ranjit had 3+ passes. It was a tough topic, which was bravely attempted by him. And other counts are here. Sundar had 3+ R's. It was a nice speech with a lateral thinking on the topic, which for a table topic. Then Sumita had 3+ R's. This is one area for her improvement. It was such a practical speech where she brought real life events into her speech. Abhi, she had 1 R in her evaluation speech. We had a chance to learn eye contact in a virtual session. So in usual sessions, we used to have eye contact with the people, but even in a virtual session, we need to have a virtual session. This is what I learned from her in today's session. Ishwaran, it was no misses at all except for a pass. And we too learned important points like non-usage or minimizing the usage of the mnemonics. That's it. And as an R counter, my observation is myriad usage of R's, which we all have to work on. Sure, we can achieve it. Thank you, team. Back to you, Toastmaster Ratish.
Great. It was indeed beyond above, I would say, because instead of just reading the report, you also pointed out what went well, what needs to be improved, everything. Thank you so much for that. It was like a mini evaluation. And while presenting your report, you used 2 times R. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to call our interesting role player, grammarian, Toastmaster Lakshmi Narayana, to provide the report.
Thank you, General Evaluator Team Ratish. I'm just sharing my Excel sheet, but before that, I really want to appreciate the timer and the R counter. R counter did an excellent job. Like, it took your role as well in giving detailed report. But let me try to that extent. I'm just going to give just a grammarian report over here. First of all, I want to appreciate all the speakers who use the word of the day, the myriad, and I want to appreciate Toastmaster Vignesh, accounter Deepak, and the speakers Karthik Ayan, Shree Priya, and most importantly, speech crafter Vignesh for using it multiple times. And again, it was used by some of the evaluators as well. So sorry if I didn't capture most of you. I was not attentive in few places. I was trying to fix my earphones. Coming to the good usage, it all began from the timer who mentioned about mentioned a quote about the time, and time is precious. And Saravanan, it's good to know about your culinary skills, and he said you want to go to culinary college. Then Speaker Suresh mentioned two things like interesting story behind and how he landed up in CNSI. And then Shree Priya is about the generation gap. She gave a definition also what is generation gap is, the difference in opinion between two generations. And this TIV topic session, the speech Dr. Manoj is used two words like overwhelmed with joy and the biryani is emotion. And Sumita about she took us for a financial planning course in that speech. So I just captured few about advanced planning, constant income, at hand, at home, all those information. If you put it in good sentence, I can really relate with the savings plan for home. And then I captured few for Toastmaster Ishwaran as an evaluator. There are plenty of good usages, good words from Toastmaster Ishwaran. I captured few out of it, like can't spot butterfly in your stomach. That's usually we refer to the person who's very nervous in speaking, and we call the butterfly in the stomach. There's a good usage. And humane side, which means that showing compassion towards the people. And the good usage by Toastmaster Abhirami with abstract, astonished. There are a lot of good words I got from her speech. And also promoting diversity and inclusion. That's one good term I learned today. And to end up with DTM, Ratish mentioned about practice makes man perfect. So having said all good about this grammatical good usages, here are a few suggestions I want to recommend here. And I'm not that good in English, but still, whatever noticed, I just want to give few recommendations. Like one is like pour at English. It should have been used in pour in English. And struck to a lot of many factors. They're used in multiple conjunctions, so it could be struck to many factors. Or you could have used the word of the day, myriad factors. And people's outside, you can't use a plural there, so it should be people. People itself is a plural, so people outside. Avoiding communicating should have been the avoided communication. Then I go to should have been. Then I went to. With that, it's overall it's an excellent session. I think I learned a lot from most of your speeches. A lot of good words. Some I didn't capture specifically because some are very obvious. Otherwise, it was an excellent session. Thank you, and over to you, DTM, Ratish.
Thank you so much for the detailed report. Now I'll start my report. Our meeting started exactly on time. Exactly on time. Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Vignesh, kudos to you. Very well explained the meeting rules, mission of Toastmasters, and you have set the tone of the meeting great. Thank you so much. Presiding Officer, Toastmaster Abhirami, great start as a presiding officer and well motivated the audience. Thank you and kudos to you once again. Toastmaster of the Day, very apt theme, very well explained, very well revolved around the theme. Thank you so much. Every point that you have mentioned, it is very much required for the speech crafters and Toastmasters. We have to learn on those topics a lot. It was really a great theme, very well conveyed the message. And I like the way you asked the question at the beginning. What is public speaking? It really helped the audience connect very much. Quick suggestion here for the entire team. It was a back-to-back, right? Toastmaster Vignesh, then Abhirami, then Vignesh. If you would have had someone else doing Sergeant at Arms, that would have been, great. That's the quick suggestion that I have here. Moving on to table topics. First time, I think, speech crafter Vignesh doing table topics session. It was very well done. You explained table topic very well. You also reiterated the rules and time signal. And while explaining that, you use the word of the day, so many things, but it's a package. I really liked. Thank you for the great topics. Speech character guru, time is precious was the topic given to you, right? So good presence of mind. Immediately you connected with our sessions timekeeper and you started talking about it, right? So good presence of mind. I really love that. Thank you so much. You are now mastering impromptu speaking skill. You're progressing well. Keep going. Thank you. Speech crafter Ranjit, life without mobile. You you said many things about mobile phone usage. You started with navigation, and you said everything. Now people cannot live without mobile, at least 80% of the people. All right. The flow of thought was very, very good. Kudos to you once again. Speech crafter Manoj, what makes you happy? I was actually thinking that you will say many things, being with family, traveling, enjoying time with friends, but it was altogether a different thought that eating biryani gives happiness. Awesome, awesome. So that's something out of the box. Kudos to you. Thank you so much for the wonderful flow of thought again. Speech crafter Sundar, how will you prepare for a trip? I do a trip very often. The tips that you have given and the points that you have mentioned, it is still there in my mind. Definitely for my next trip, I'm going to follow your thoughts. Thank you. Very well explained. And you also touched upon pros and cons of not preparing well. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. And speech crafter Sumita, best saving option, I think. Before financial closure every year, we all need to contact her to get some good tips. The tips that you have given, it is really worth. Again, the flow was very, very nice, and you covered all the points. Thank you so much. Keep going. Overall, the meeting quality was awesome. Kudos to you all, everyone present in the meeting. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Vignesh.
Thanks, distinguished Toastmaster Ratish, for excellently conducting the meeting, the evaluation portion. Now, I hope everyone knew some glimpse of public speaking. Let me share some benefits of public speaking. So it improves confidence, better research skills, improve leadership skills, and networking. There is a lot of benefits. So speaking in public, especially important for business to offer their plans and market their offers. This allows them to get into attract some potential customers. So you would have seen some top level CEOs, they are all very good at public speaking. You would have seen Sundar Pichai was talking with so many college students. They would ask random topics to tackle him, but he responded politely. So these are all comes under public speaking skills. So we believe that, so most of us think that public speaking is a congenital skill. So that is comes from birth. It is not like that. It is a skill that is learned at any time. So it requires some know-how and some effort. So I would like to end with the quote by John Powell. Communication works for those who work at it. Communication works for those who work at it. Now, I hand over the control to Presiding Officer, Toastmaster Abhirami.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Vignesh. That was indeed a very, very great Toastmastering topic that you have chosen for today. That was in line with what we are all doing at the moment. Overall, a really great meeting, and special thanks to our evaluator, Toastmaster Ishwaran. So thank you so much for joining us today. It was a delight that you evaluated some of our speakers. So maybe we would like to hear a few words from you, Toastmaster Ishwaran, about this session.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abhirami. Very good afternoon to all of you. Oh, still good morning only. Okay, good morning again to all of you. It was a pleasure being part of this meeting. In fact, this is the first meeting for me to be part of a Speechcraft meeting. I've never attended this meeting. So great learning for me. I got to see how the corporates move up the ladder towards Toastmasters journey. What kind of effort that goes in behind the scene to help them, how Toastmasters help them. So these are things that I got to learn from today. A lot of people here. Very nice to see all of you taking the right step towards your communication leadership growth. I'm sure all of you will see the result at the end of the tunnel. There is no doubt about that. All the best, and thank you, Abhi, for calling me to be part of this meeting. I hope I did justice to my role. Thank you, DTM Ratish. Thank you, everybody here. Pleasure being part of this meeting. Back to you, Abhi.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ishwaran. Yes, so probably now let's launch the polls for today. And meanwhile, we can continue our discussion. Request Toastmaster Vignesh to launch the polls.
Yes, Adrami, I have launched the poll.
Yeah. So now you can start voting for the best speaker, whom you feel is the best speaker. Yeah, and then we can launch the second poll.
Tag player, I don't see grammarian here. Is there any specific reason?
Yeah, we don't put the Toastmasters into it.
Oh, Toastmaster. Okay, okay, got it.
Great. So yes, moving on to the next poll on the TT speaker. Yeah, moving on to the next poll. And the best role player. Yeah, we can move on to the next poll. Yeah, done. Okay. Okay, now it's time to announce the results. Even before announcing the results, kudos to the first time role players, our timer Sendil, our counter speech crafter Deepak, our table topic master speech crafter Vignesh. Kudos to all three of you. You're all doing the role for the first time and it never did appear on stage like you were doing it for the first time. Good job. Now it's time for the results for the role players for today. The best tag role player for today is our counter speech crafter Deepak. Congratulations, speech crafter Deepak. The best TT speaker for today is speech crafter Sumita. Congratulations, speech crafter Sumita.
Thank you.
The best speaker for today is speech crafter Vimal. Congratulations, speech crafter Vimal.
Thank you.
The best role player for today is our general evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Ratish. Congratulations, Ratish.
Thank you.
The best evaluator for today is our evaluator, Toastmaster Ishwaran. Congratulations, Toastmaster Ishwaran.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
Sure. So with that, we are done with the meeting for today. So we have one more segment, which is the educational session. Probably we can take a break of 5 minutes and gather back, and we could finish it in 30 to 40 minutes. Would that be okay? Can we take a break of 5 to 10 minutes?
Yes.
Yes, Abhi.
Okay, 10-minute break should be good.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Probably we can leave this, put this on mute and get back at in 10 minutes. Now it's 11:45. Maybe we can connect back by 11:55. We'll try to have it, wrap it in 30 to 35 minutes probably. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Abhi. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Ishwara.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
You're back on time.
Wow, that's amazing. Looks like others also set up timers, huh? Nice. And Vignesh, it was really fast. The certificates on the break. I just managed to almost finish my chai. Okay, so the others are joining. 1 more minute. Where is our man Lakshmi? I think Lakshmi will be rejoining. Just a minute.
Yeah, I'm back.
Abhirami, you are speaking on mute.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Yes. Okay, so if everyone, most of them, I think it's only Saravanan and
I joined, Abhi.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I think everyone is here. Great. We have full quorum now. Okay, let me not take too much of your time. Already we are into most of the things. So let us quickly start. Maybe Vignesh, can you help us sharing the PPT? I can just guide you where to move on to the next.
Sure, Abhirami. Give me a second.
Yeah. So meanwhile, let me set the context of what we are going to see in the next half an hour and how this session is going to be. Now, what we will be doing is first step, we will be going through what are the elements of a speech. Elements in the sense, now all of you gave your icebreaker speech. It was quite easy, isn't it? You were speaking just about yourself and it was for a lesser period of time, which was 2 to 3 minutes. That's more like an intro. And you more or less know what you will say about yourself. So it's not much to think about the structure or how you will plan it. But as you go on your speaking journey, you will be giving a lot more speeches. And rather than just practicing and then learning it over a period of time, if you just try to master certain techniques, like how you choose a topic, how you have to structure your speech, how you have to open or close a speech, all these elements, if you go through the technical or how it is actually done, that will make it easy for you when you craft your speech. You will save a lot of time while you're choosing your topic or writing your script. And that way, you will also be able to deliver an effective speech. That is one thing that most of the audience asks for, I think, effective communication, where you're able to clearly, start with an idea, clearly have it in parts, what you want to communicate, and you put it across to your audience, and your audience also understands it. So this is the whole cycle of an effective communication. So now, yes, let's get into this. So what I will do is first I'll take you through this set of contents that we will want to see. Then we will hear a speech from Toastmaster Lakshmi. So what we will do, we will try to identify, try to match what we learned here into his speech. So that is what we're going to do. So now, yes, Vignesh, you can move on to the next slide. So to start with, if you see the first thing, how do you choose your topic? I might not even call it specific purpose at this point. Maybe let me put it like, how do you choose a topic? Maybe you can read it in that slide, Vignesh. You need not go to the next one. Yeah. So maybe I would direct this to speech crafter Shree Priya, because she did that very recently, right? Most of them gave the icebreaker. Now, Shree Priya, you selected a topic, right? What is that? Age, generation gap. Now, generation gap was a topic that you chose. So how did you come to select that? Were you reading about something, or how did that happen, that choice of a topic?
It suddenly came to my mind. I was thinking about multiple topics, and my daughter was giving me a lot of suggestions on the topics. So I thought, why can't I take that one, generation gap? Suddenly, it came to my mind, actually, Abhirami. So.
Nice. That's nice. That's how general topics also come. Maybe, yeah, Vignesh, you can go on to the next slide now. So whenever you are selecting a topic, the topic to be, the aim is to give a speech and your audience should receive it in the platter. So that time you always read your audience. You read your audience, whether they have the capability to digest that topic. So say I come and talk about the expert rocket science, or I talk about stock trading in the technical side. I do not know how much this audience might know. So for that, I need to know what your work role is, whether you will be able to absorb it. So it depends on what kind of an audience you have and what topic you can choose. Now, the topic that Shree Priya chose was a generic one. Anyone would understand that, especially in a corporate and all. We all will understand. She took that angle. So that was something, you choose a relevant topic knowing your audience. And secondly, the topic should be like relevant, not just in terms of the audience, but also there's an added advantage when you choose something which is relevant. Assume when COVID just started and we were all into the Toastmaster meeting, people used to talk about after Toastmastering after COVID, life after COVID. And people used to immediately relate. Some people used to say, my maid didn't come and I'm doing everything, I'm managing the kids. So whatever is the current scenario, maybe the Ukraine issue or whatever is going on outside, when you make reference to all that, people immediately connect. So choosing something that's happening at the moment is also going to give you an added advantage or a relevance. That is the other. So how you get topics? Yes, just like Shree Priya said, you can discuss with your children, with your friends, anyone, read magazine or whatever. You can just look up and choose a topic, or even you can talk about things you're expert about. So today we had another speaker who spoke about that Dindigul locks. So he's from Dindigul, so he knows about that place. So he's in the best position to talk about that place. So whatever you're good at, also you can talk about those things, and also your daily family activities. Every day, what happens in your life can also be made into a speech. Just like that one instance where your father says no to a dance class, that if you connect it back, there will be a reason. So that is how small things become speeches for your speech material. So yes, so this is on how you can choose a topic. Now, yes, we can move on to the next slide, Vignesh. Now, yeah, so the topic has to be narrow. You cannot have a very wider topic. It should be kind of specific. So as an audience, if I'm listening to one of your speech, then you should always think of your audience. What will the audience get out of the speech? So I'm making references to certain speeches that we have spoken today. If it's an icebreaker speech as an audience, when Vimal is delivering, what I will want to know is about Vimal, what all he does, or what is his hobbies, what is his background, which place he's from. By knowing about all those elements, I know about Vimal more. So those kind of things, like you must keep your audience in mind, what they will want out of my speech. You should be able to summarize it in one line. Like in an icebreaker, they will know about me. If it is Shree Priya's speech, it will be about knowing the generation gap at work. It needs to be specific. And that way you will cover all the elements of the generation gap at work as to why it happens, what can be done, diversity, inclusion, some examples of what the generation gap results, maybe in a project, something happened like this. So it becomes narrow. You have a specific objective. So to just go through these parts, one, there are 3 criteria. One is, what will my audience get after listening to my speech? Your goal must be specific. That's a second. Just like we set SMART goals, right? At work, we try to have those specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and all those stuff. It's the same. You need to have a specific goal, and that should be attainable. I cannot give a speech telling that after listening to the speech, you will become an expert in stock market. No, that is not possible. I can say, maybe I can introduce you to stock market, telling this is how, explain about what stock is. That is possible within a 5 to 7 minute speech. So set up realistic goals. The moment you do that, the moment you define that, it will be very easy for you to finalize what will be your intro body conclusion. If Shree Priya clearly said, okay, generation gap at office, immediately it will become, at office, this is a generation gap, this is the example, this is diversity, inclusion is the answer. So it breaks down immediately. So yeah, if there are any questions, you can pause. You can just ask me to pause anywhere, else I'll keep moving on to the next slides. Yeah. Okay. Now, when we get into the purpose of a speech. So all through I was talking about selecting a topic and purpose, right? Both of it are more or less the same. Now, any speech will have 2 purposes, okay? So one is your specific purpose and other is your general purpose. Now, the specific purpose was what you were specifically talking about, right? Like the specific topic that you have chosen. But general purpose is 4 types. Maybe you can move on to the next slide, Vignesh. So any speech, you can give it in, have any of the one of the purposes. I'll give an example. Like for example, assume I'm going to talk about smoking is injurious to health. That is my topic. I want to tell my audience that smoking is injurious to health. What I can do, I can follow the first part where I just want to inform my audience about the negative impacts of smoking. I will just say that statistics, I might give that. I might tell about how people, if they smoke, they have all these problems. I'll give some research data. I might give you all the more of information kind of details. So this is only to inform them. My whole objective is information. As an audience, it is your choice. You smoke, you don't smoke, that's your choice. I'm only giving you an information. That is the first method of, the first style of a general purpose speech. The second one is persuading your audience. Where now what I do when I am having this message of smoking is injurious to health, I tell you, I give you the information, then I tell you, don't smoke or reduce smoking because it's harmful. I'm calling for action. That is the difference. In inform, I only inform. I'm not bothered. I just give you the data. Here you go. Do what you want. But in persuade, I call for an action. I tell you, I'm asking you to change your mindset. If you're smoking, don't smoke. Something like that. The third is inspire. Inspire calls for action in a slightly different way, where you don't tell the person, don't smoke. Maybe I tell a personal story, something like in my life, my dad or someone who was close to me smoked, because of which something tragic happened and how the family struggled. When I tell a story like that, automatically the message is smoking is injurious. So that way, rather than telling you don't smoke, I'm inspiring you, telling not to smoke. It is like, instead of telling don't do directly, sometimes as parents, we try to indirectly tell, right? With some story or something, it's that kind of an inspiration. So generally leaders, all those world leaders use the inspirational style. The last one is to entertain. Now, if you look at certain movies also, there will be a message, but they will go in a very entertaining pattern. There will not be any, it will be more like just relax and enjoy it and move on. So where you are narrating your some personal experience, sharing a story about it. So those will come under the entertainment category. So overall, there are 4 types. One is to inform, other is to persuade, then to inspire, the last is to entertain. So you can use any of these styles in your speeches. Lakshmi, do you want to add anything over here?
Maybe I just want to differentiate between this inspiring speech and the persuasive speech. So if anyone can you tell the difference between the inspiring and persuasive? Anyone? Okay, if not, I can just give you. See, what happens is inspiring speech is something where you are not asking the audience to do something, but you are asking them to change the way they are thinking about something. It's like it's motivation. So the best example we could say is in a Toastmasters meeting, we'll inspire people that any normal shy person can come out and speak. We are not making or forcing them or persuading them to speak. We are inspiring them that this can also be done. Your whole thought process is changed out of it, but there is no call, there need not be any call for action. It could be an internal call for action. But whereas persuasive speech is where you inspire, you can be inspiring or can give informative speech also. You persuade them to do something. There's a calls for action by the end of the speech. So you come with the objective. This typical persuasive speech will be the sales speech. Where it comes, you have to go and market something, or your company announces something, change in policy, whatever it is. It should be a persuasive speech where there is a call for action to the audience specifically after the end of the speech. So that's the 2 things I want to mention. And usually we have to choose one general purpose. It could be a persuasive speech or inspirational speech. Or if you want to speak in front of a family audience in your family meetings or employee days somewhere, you can give an entertaining speech. You don't want to bore people with something else. It could be just the pure purpose is to entertain people with fun or humor. So, but many times, even for a persuasive speech, it could be it will be the general purpose. Is main general purpose is persuasive. We can also add information, credible information to do it, right? So it will be both primary is persuasive. We can also include general purpose as sub-general purpose as informative speech. But there should be one general purpose always. If it is persuasive, it is a persuasive. Supporting to it could be some humor to it, or could be some information along with it to it. So that's it I want to mention about this general purpose.
Okay.
What do you, Abhirami?
Okay, thank you, Lakshmi. Ratish, also in case you want to pitch in and add something, Ratish, please feel free to step in. So I'll just keep continuing. Where you want to add in something to the discussion, you can add it in.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now we saw about the 4 types. So generally, I think at work, you will be more or less informing, giving an information. You might more or less, if you're doing, you're giving an idea, you might persuade to pick that idea. So mostly you will be into that to inform, to persuade category. And this to inspiring, that part generally you will be using that inspiring piece more when you become a leader, where the tone of speaking will indirectly inspire people. So though we are all preparing for a speech which is watertight between 5 to 7 minutes or 4 to 5 minutes, indirectly we try to apply, we end up applying all this in our regular lives. That's what happens in a long time. So you may think, why will I need to know all this when I'm speaking at work? But in the long run, it will slowly trickle into your leadership and up the ladder stuff. And even that entertaining elements and all, this may be an overall aspect, but if you see those small elements that will come up, that will help you here and there. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay, why do I need to organize my speech? Why is organizing a speech very important? Would any of you have any thoughts? Yeah, you can bring it. It's okay. Yeah, you can bring it. So organizing a speech is going to make the audience feel good. Organizing your speech is like, it's like you're serving food at the hotel, where, sometimes though you order food, the way they arrange it and present it to you makes you feel really good. And there's a specific order, right? You go with the soup, then you go for the starters, then the main dish, and then the dessert. That organization matters, right? Someone defined it that way. We are also used to eating that way, and that's what makes it feel good. Similarly, speech is also like something that you're serving to your audience. So when you have a proper structure and when you transition from one point to another smoothly, people have the ability to perceive, the tendency to perceive you as a credible speaker. When you actually practice really well and tell it, in a very smooth manner, people will believe that, yes, this is your own story, even though it is not. So first thing is, it's easier for your audience to understand. That way you become an effective communicator. For them also, it's easy to remember. For you also as a speaker, it's easier to remember your speech because it just flows into the next line. So overall, for an effective speech, you need to have a very good structure, which is a basic requirement for any speech. Yes, move on to the next slide, Vignesh. Okay, so speech structure and speech outline. Structure and outline are 2 different things. I think first we saw purpose, right? We saw a specific purpose, which is a specific topic you're choosing. Then we saw a general purpose, where we had 4 general purposes. One was to inform, one was to persuade, then to inspire, and then to entertain. Then now we are seeing the overall speech structure and the outline. Now, yes, please go on to the next slide. We will see what is the difference between the structure and the outline. So now overall, when you look at the speech structure, so what you see is an example of how a speech should ideally be. You will have an opening, you will have a body, and you will have a closing. Now, when you have an opening, that is where you're introducing to the audience what you're talking and you capture their attention there. Then you flow onto your body, where that is where you have the main content. You give them the actual data that you want to talk about. And in the conclusion, you are concluding. You don't introduce anything new. More or less, you are just summarizing the purpose for which you spoke. Whatever was your key objective of giving the speech, or if it's a persuasive speech where you're going to call for action, you will call for action, telling, okay, don't smoke from now on. So that will be a strong message towards the end. So you always, any speech will have an opening, body, and conclusion. And always there will be transitions from opening to body. You will have a transition. If you recollect Vimal, when he spoke after he gave the introduction of the story, then he said, as days moved on, and then he went on to say, I joined school. So it is like that line is a transition line, just to move from one segment to another. You don't jump directly into the next segment. Like you're born and you're into school the next day. It doesn't happen like that, right? So that those are the transition elements. Then, yeah, now we can move on to the next, hold on. Under the body, you can have maybe the details we will see in the coming slides. Again, in the body, you'll have sub-points. When we discuss the body segment in detail, we will look at how many points you can have and how we have to go about with the structure. So overall, it is opening, body, and conclusion. Please move on to the next slide. Okay, next slide as well. So apart from this structure, how can your speech be? So if you see today in the icebreaker, more or less, you will go in a time, in the order of time, which is chronology. The first style is chronology. If you look at chronological style, you will talk about you being born, then you will go to school, to college, then to office, right? You go in the order of time. You don't jump college, then born, or you don't mess it up. It's always in the order of the time. So that is a chronological speech where you go in the time structure. A spatial speech is where it is more where you're relating to a space. So say you're describing your CNSI office structure. Say you're going to tell us how your office looks. You take us from the entrance to the reception room, then what other video conferencing rooms you have, what are the main cubicles, the cafeteria. So you go space by space, starting from the entrance. So this is more on the spatial aspect rather than the time. Generally, this will be for where you are taking people through a guided tour or talking about a place, some place related stuff. The third way can be a causal type outline, where you're talking about a cause and an effect, where your whole speech itself, see, all this will be, you need not consciously choose which outline. Depending on the nature of your speech, automatically that there will be only more or less one or two outlines that you can use, not more than that. So a causal kind of outline can be used where you are talking specifically about some issue where there is a cause and a relationship. Maybe something like pollution, why that pollution is caused, or maybe even global warming, where you talk about the cause of it, how there is a lot of this carbon emitting stuff out there because which is causing the global warming. So you talk about the cause and the effect there. The fourth can be a comparative style where you have two options and you're choosing between two options. So you're talking about whether I can choose this or choose that. So every parameter you can compare. Maybe if you're choosing between two jobs, you can talk about this being one brand, that is another brand, the salary, the working scenario. So you're comparing element by element and you're getting into the decision. The third, the topical speech, is where you have many subtopics. Today, I think that Dindigul speech, where you had a topic about Dindigul and you had different areas, right? Food, Amikal, Lock, you had each topic, subtopics into it, right? So all that will fit into a topical kind of structure. Even when I'm explaining about a Toastmastering speech, there are three segments. We have a prepared speech, and evaluation, table topics. Again, we are going into topics. So those will become a topical kind of a speech. And the last is the problem and solution, where you're talking about a problem. Say, for example, if Shree Priya wanted to put it like, these days, gender gap is a big problem. Okay, then it will go into as to how diversity and inclusion can be a solution. So anything you can fit it the way you want and apply the logic. So whenever you're writing a speech, try to have this with you and try to fit it. Once you do it for a couple of times, you will start understanding how it's working. So do you have any questions in this outline? Okay, fine. Let's move on to the next one. This, all this is like, we all speak in English, but it's not necessary that we need to be experts of grammar, but still we speak well. But when we know certain aspects of it, we are able to make it better. So it's like that. So even without knowing all these types of outlines, still you'll be making such outlines. That's how it eventually gets into. Yeah, please move on to the next slide, Vignesh. Okay. Now we saw the structure, opening, body, conclusion. Generally, that outline that we spoke about will fit into the body only. Okay. So now we are going to talk about the opening, body, and conclusion of a speech, how it will look. Now an opening, all of you have given speeches till now. How do you think an opening should be? Many times Evaluator also have given feedback how it should be. So this I'm sure you should be able to tell. How do you think a good opening for a speech should be? Anyone?
Attracting the audience.
With any quotation or like a question.
Nice.
Yes. The audience attention.
Okay, great. Yes. So any more answers? I think yes, more or less that's the answer. Yes, Vignesh, let's get into the next slide, which tells us how an opening should be. Yes, so you grab the audience attention because the human mind is such that first impression is the best impression. In that first 30 seconds or 1 minute, if you grab their attention, then they are with you for the rest of your speech. That is why always introduction, generally, even if you talk to your mentor, they'll ask you to memorize your introduction and conclusion. At least in the body, you can just go up and down here and there because the mind focus is more in the intro and conclusion. So always memorize those better. That is another part of the story. But into the opening, you are grabbing the audience attention by telling them something new or by making them think. When you ask them a question, they start thinking, okay, when was the last time or how many days did you take to deliver your icebreaker? Or when was the last time when you did something new for the first time? When you ask certain questions, it should make them think. And the moment they think, they are there with you. The other thing, yes, you can use quotes. You can use the story, like Vimal used the story today. You can use a quote. Actually, Ishwaran, when he was evaluating today, he started with a quote in one of his evaluation, if you observe. So those are all some ways in which you can grab the audience attention. One extra way is where you can, bring an object into the picture and ask the people the relevance, or you can tell a story. Maybe you bring a prop like a rose, or you bring a piece of charcoal and maybe you start saying, how this charcoal was made, and get into a story of how it becomes a diamond. A charcoal to a diamond transformation. You can bring a charcoal as a starting point in your story. So different ways you can start your speech. Now, what to avoid? Some people, when they start the speech, they make a confession. But I didn't prepare for the speech, so please forgive me if my speech is bad. If you make that confession at the start, people are convinced, okay, let me not listen to this speech. So those kind of an apologetical statement or such kind of confessions never make at the start or even at the end. I hope you enjoyed my speech. I didn't prepare well. They don't need that information. Sometimes you may think you didn't prepare well, but your speech would have been good. People wouldn't even know that. So those kind of statements, please don't make. And another thing is, have something which is relevant to start. If you say something totally irrelevant in the sense, not to the audience, to your topic. If your topic is generation gap, then have a starting which is relating to it. Something irrelevant will confuse the audience. And you cannot use a very common statement like, do you know the sun rises in the east? That everyone knows anyways. That's a very normal statement. So those kind of very generic things don't use at the start. So is there anything that anyone wants to add in the opening? Anything more? I think, yeah, we think we're all good. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Now we get into, once the opening is done, we move on to the body segment. Okay, so in the body of the speech, you can go on to the next slide, Vignesh. Now, this body of the speech will be, actually, you will all be making the body of the speech first, because once you decide the topic, like this generation gap, the first thing will be what is generation gap, why it is caused, how it can be bridged. So these kind of sub-points is what comes to your mind first. Then you will fit an introduction and you will fit a conclusion. Okay, different people will have different ways in their brain works. But the moment that you chose a topic, the key points that you want to convey are the first things that comes up. So when you have the key points, always it's good to have not more than 3 to 4 points. Because if you see, you will all be delivering not more than a 5 to 7 minute speech. That to here in this condensed material, we are delivering 4 to 5 minutes speech. So that time, if you try to fit more points, your conclusion will go away. So always that planning where we are given a small, like I recollect in my office where they had given a senior person a 10-minute time to talk on diversity about the Black groups. That person took 20 minutes and the meeting was over. They had to move it. So that timing is something that we are all practicing. So you should have just the required amount of data. So that is why your topic should be narrow. You cannot have a generalized topic. So here, what are the things that you can use in the body? So when I say assume, I'm having 3 concrete points. So those points will be something like what you experienced in your life or what you read about, like in Shree Priya's was, I'm relating a lot to Shree Priya's because that is one speech that is relating to organizing your structure. And whatever we are reading or learning today is relating to that particular topic. So she had a personal story. She had a story relating to the office where talking about the generation gap. So piece by piece, all these are the subpoints. So these subpoints can be your personal experience. They can be stories. Apart from that, when you share statistics, like if you recollect, Ishwaran was suggesting in his evaluation, when you give data, like these many districts are there in Dindigul, you can quote the from where you have taken. When you give a fact or a statistics and also quote the reference, it becomes more credible. It shows that you have done some research. People start believing you, even though it may be false. I say there are 50 and I say, it's in Wikipedia, look it up. You will end up, the audience will believe you. Okay, it's not about a question of fooling your audience. It is about connecting with them. You are making it more credible. So statistics is one way to make it more credible. You can also use certain facts like in history, this is what happened. Maybe Shree Priya can add in her speech in the gender, I always get gender in my mouth, generation gap, where how some research was done by some agency where they realized this is one of the way in which they can bridge it, and diversity and inclusion was introduced in all the corporates. These are all facts. So you can also use visual aids like showing a graph. So these are all certain aspects or ways in which you can convey your information to the audience. Again, what tool you will use will depend on what is your general purpose. If you're doing informational kind of speech, if you're showing a graph, it will be good for the audience. But where I'm trying to inspire you, and that time when I'm showing a graph, I'm not sure if your inspirational activity will get diluted, because inspiration is something which will come while you use the emotions, right? Where you share a personal story and you are able to give a real life incident, people generally get inspired. Inspiration comes with a personal angle, not with the numbers. So depending on what your general purpose will be, accordingly, you will use the data. So we can move on to the next slide. In case you have any questions, please ask me to pause. We can discuss that and move on, no issues. And then moving on to the conclusion. So how should a conclusion be? That also I'm sure all of you will know by now. How should a conclusion be? Anyone?
Should give an overall objective of the topic and what needs to be achieved out of that.
Great. Okay. So more or less it will be like a summary of what you just spoke in a few lines. So maybe go on to that slide, Vignesh. Yeah. So now conclusion, just like intro is important, conclusion is the last thing that people will remember. So if I go back and ask anyone, if I ask what was the last thing you remember in a particular person's speech, more or less they will remember the conclusion really well. Or even in your appraisal discussion with your manager, the last line what he said only will remember well. That is why they will train us to give the sandwich method. Tell what was good, then tell what was bad, then finish again with what was good, because they should have a good impact in their mind. So on that piece, always the last conclusion piece, strengthen it, where you have a clear message, maybe something like how, if it is a generation gap, as to how it can be bridged. And there are good things also in that. Maybe you can have a positive message, depends on what message you want to convey. That purpose, you can put that in the last. And the other thing, it should be something like reinforcing what you have told. You shouldn't bring something new. Conclusion is only to summarize or summarize what you spoke or call for action. but not to introduce new things. So even finishing, you can also finish with a quote or finish with a line that you started with the start to emphasize that. That also you can do. But the conclusion, what you should never do is like again making an apologetic statement like I just gave my best. I'm sorry for a bad speech. Don't do such things. Even if it's a bad speech, it's okay. We shouldn't ourselves go and tell it's a bad speech. And you should not introduce any new things in the conclusion that will confuse your audience. So this is more or less what you need to keep in mind regarding concluding a speech. And you should also have adequate time. Generally, what we end up doing, we have this 1:3:1 ratio, right? Where you split your words. If it is a 4 to 5 minutes speech, assume you will have 100 words per minute. That will be the rate that you will speak. If you are speaking at a normal rate, it will be 100. So you can have 400 to 500 words and not beyond that. When you write it only, you can count. And in that, you can have a split of 1:3:1. That way, you will have adequate amount of conclusion, because what happens, we all tend to focus on the body and conclusion will be only one line telling, okay, hence we ask you to do this. No, you'll have to strengthen that and give some emphasis there. So you can use that strategy where you use the number of words to have some amount of adequate conclusion. Okay. So yes, we can move on to the next slide, Vignesh. I think we're almost done. We are done?
Yes, Abhirami.
Great. Okay. I know in a Saturday afternoon, I have given a very, very big lecture to all the audience, but still I didn't have an option because this is something critical that you will be using for the next two speeches. Organize your speeches as speech 2, where your focus will be on intro, body, and conclusion. And the third speech will be having a purpose, where you choose a specific purpose and general purpose. So I thought, let me club it together so that it'll be easy for you, because both of it is intertwined. Now, what we will do is, all through I was taking references from the speeches that we had today. Now we will just hear a 5 to 7 minute speech from Lakshmi Narayana. And what we will do, the next 5 minutes, once he finishes the speech, we will just try to identify what was his specific purpose, what was his general purpose, which was the intro, which was the body, which was the conclusion, how was the transition. We will just have an open discussion on how that speech was. Yes? So maybe what I can do, maybe Vignesh, can you help with the timer flags for Lakshmi? Would you have that at your desk?
It's 5 to 7 minutes. Speech.
Or else it's okay, Lakshmi. Finish off the speech. We don't need the flags.
If required, I can do it.
Yeah, timer Sandeep Kumar is there.
5 to 7 minutes, right?
Yes, 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here, once the timer is ready, you can start, Lakshmi.
No, I'm sorry, I can't stand and speak, so my earphone doesn't support. So you have to be there. So this is not a conclusion before speech. So the speech is safe to start.
Yes, definitely. Go ahead.
Shall I start now? Or
oh.
Let's wait. Get the
go
from Sandil.
Yeah. What's your title, Lakshmi? I'll give you your title.
Ride safe, wear helmet.
I'm very sorry. I'm very poor. I should have asked you earlier.
No, it is.
Okay. Now we will hear from Toastmaster Lakshmi. So here you go. Ride safe, wear a helmet. Ride safe, wear a helmet. Over to you, Toastmaster Lakshmi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abhirami. 4 years back, one of my close relatives was riding a moped. While crossing a junction at a very slow speed, he was hit by a car from sideways. He lost control, fell down, and his head banged on the road. He immediately lost consciousness and started bleeding from ear and nose. He was in coma stage in hospital for 1 week, and in spite of spending lakhs of rupees, he didn't survive. Had he wore this helmet on that particular day, he would have been alive today. Good evening, speech captors and Toastmasters. Do you know 65% of people who died in road accidents have died of head injuries and they were not wearing a helmet? And according to the World Health Organization, the non-usage of helmet is recognized as one of the 5 global risk factors in road safety. I used to insist all my friends and colleagues to wear helmet when they ride motorcycle. Very few listen and some ignore me totally. So I started researching on why people don't use helmet, and I came across many reasons, and I'm going to give only top 4 reasons, which I call it as excuses for not wearing helmet. The first excuse is, some people say it's very hot outside and wearing helmet makes me sweat a lot and I might lose hair also. So because for them, hair is more important than head. And some say the visibility of road is less when they wear helmet because they didn't know how to wear the helmet properly. And some confident riders, that's the third of excuses, who say, I've been riding motorcycle for decades. I know how to ride safely. I don't need a helmet. And the fourth and the most obvious excuse is, there is no police in the road I travel. I don't need a helmet. Though we give different excuses for not wearing helmet, it is still not safe to ride without the helmet. And we'll avoid this excuse if you are a responsible family member and a responsible citizen. Wearing helmet while riding greatly reduces the severity of injury to the head, the probability of death, and overall cost of the medical care. Because the helmet is designed to have a cushion and protect your head at the rider's head specifically from the collision of a crash. So we should not burden our near and dear ones, because of our stupidity, it's better to bleed than to sweat. Okay. So what kind of helmet is legal in India? According to the new notification from Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, from 1st June 2021, which has already started, all helmets in India must have the ISI mark. This is the ISI mark we mentioned. And for your information, the ISI mark is the certifies that a product conforms to an Indian standard developed by Bureau of Indian Standards. So some of you might have seen this ISI mark in helmets. So how to choose and wear a helmet? Now we know what is required and we need to know how to choose and wear a helmet. My suggestion is, the first and foremost important suggestion is, don't buy online for helmets. You need to visit a physical shop, choose from various options available, choose a helmet which fits your helmet properly, and then buy from that shop. Because the helmet should sit level on your head, just above your eyebrows, and cover your forehead so that it protects your forehead and your visibility is also good. And second important suggestion is, choose a full cover helmet like what I showed here. Because there are half cover helmet, please choose a full cover helmet. I want to tell you a real incident happened in our office a few months before the actual lockdown started. One of our lady employee, while riding her two-wheeler in a parking lot, slipped and fell down while taking the ramp in the second floor. She was riding just 50 kilometers per hour, but she had multiple fractures on her face. I was part of a team to analyze the root cause of the problem. So what we found is that since it was a cement concrete, it was very slippery because of the wear and tear. She slipped and fell down, and adding fuel to the cement concrete, the car which was going ahead of her was leaking oil from the engine. But in spite of falling, our doubt is that how did she get multiple fractures? Because she was wearing a helmet while riding the moped, even in a parking lot. So what we found is that she was wearing a half helmet, not the full helmet. And when she slipped, she fell and her chin hit here, and it pushed the helmet away from there and leading to multiple fractures on her face. The reason is, she didn't, even now with the off helmet, she didn't put a strap fully. So please remember, wearing helmet is incomplete without putting on the straps. I mean these straps. Okay, the strap dividers should, these are the strap dividers. The strap dividers should sit just below your earlobes, and the chin strap should be tight enough to only squeeze 2 fingers between your chin and the strap. Then rest assured, you are safe to travel in your two-wheelers. The World Health Organization, in its global status report on road safety in the year 2013, estimates that wearing a two-wheeler helmet can reduce the risk of death by 45% and the risk of serious injury by 70%. So friends, please wear a helmet while riding motorcycle. Be safe, ride safe, and enjoy your ride. Over to you, Toastmaster Abhirami.
Amazing speech, Lakshmi. I've heard that you had given a speech like this at the club and I missed it. I'm glad that you're delivering this again. It's good to see this speech. Great. Now you're all wearing the hats of an evaluator. I'm sure all the speech crafters. Thank you, timer Sindhil Kumar, very prompt. Yes, you're in on time limit. Great. Now, Lakshmi, I want you also to pitch in here in this brainstorming session. So first thing, so what do you think was the specific purpose of Toastmaster Lakshmi's speech today?
Now we'll begin with the general purpose. Out of the four, what is this?
Okay, yeah, you can start with the general purpose. So general purpose, let me quickly give you a recap. We have the purpose of informing, where you inform the audience the details. Second is persuade, where you call for action. Third is inspire, where you inspire your audience. 4 is entertain, where you're entertaining them. So where do you think Toastmaster Lakshmi's speech fits?
Persuade.
Sorry?
Persuade.
So what did I persuade you to do?
To wear a helmet while driving.
Excellent. Excellent.
So was it just to only persuade, or was it something even you're right. The general purpose is persuasive speech. I had one more thing also into it. One more general purpose also.
You can have more than one purpose, but one will be dominating, which is persuade.
My primary
one more
general
also.
purpose is persuasive speech, and along to support it, I had one more purpose. That's informative. Because I had more relevant data, because I'm not the person to come and tell you, the right person to tell you to wear a helmet. I should have a credible data to let you know this is what this statistics is saying, and so why we should wear a helmet. So I had some information also to it. So my primary general purpose is persuasive speech, and I'm supported with information speech.
Yes, that is a valid point, Lakshmi, because now when he spoke about credibility, assume Toastmaster Lakshmi is the head of the traffic department, okay? And he comes and tells you wear a helmet. He will not need all this data because he's already the authority. He's a man who can talk about it. He's in that role. But when he's not doing that job, he will need so much of data to show you that he has knowledge on that. So that was a credibility piece that he was indicating. Okay, great. So general purpose, we are clear. Now, yeah, specific purpose was more or less what Deepak said. I think we covered the specific purpose also, which was why you should wear a helmet, or you should wear a helmet versus call for action. So these two are done. So next, now we will try to understand his intro, body, conclusion, and the transitions that he had. So what do you think about Toastmaster Lakshmi's speech introduction? Any one of you?
The incident happened to his relative was the opening.
Okay.
It made us think that the speech is going to have a good essence in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So it engaged in the opening itself.
Okay. Do you think this introduction is in connection with his content of calling you, asking you all to wear a helmet? Do you think this kind of an opening?
Very much.
Do you think it's in sync with that?
Yes, very much. It was in line, 100%.
Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts? Lakshmi, what did you have? Yeah, Saravanan, go ahead.
Yeah, the incidents give the attention to listen what Lakshmi is going to tell for the body content. How are you going to conclude the overall topic?
Yeah, right. that is going to give us more of an insight of what he's going to speak. One. Second, it was a story that was trying to grab our attention. And it was also a personal story where he's talking about his own friend. It's not someone. So that way, these elements all defined what he's going to talk about. And only after that small anecdote or story, he came to telling good evening and all. So even the greeting was after that part. So yeah, Lakshmi, do you want to add on anything onto the introduction?
Shall I share my screen? I have the points structured out in.
Yeah. Share it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I tried to structure in my speech. So I wrote it later after writing the speech. So okay. The idea is that my specific purpose is to make people, the general purpose is to persuade people to wear helmet. So the specific purpose is to wear helmet. We have to ride safe and wear helmet. That's a message I want to convey to people. So whoever the audience is, they want to, when they go out, they have to do that. But what my intention initially was that when I say this, if I'm giving it a very effective, so that people sitting inside the room itself feel they are not safe without a helmet. That is what my intention was. But I don't know whether I reached it. So end of the speech, I wanted to make persuade people. The call for action should be next time when I take a two-wheeler, I should wear a helmet. So how I started is that, so I can't just like start a speech with forcing you to wear a helmet. So always there should be a personal connect, your emotional connect to this topic. So my personal loss, which is not a hookup story, it was a real incident happened. So it happened just 4 years back. So he was my uncle also. This story was the starting point to me consider this speech also. So that is the real loss. I'm including it in the 3 to 4 lines of my introduction so that people have a clear connect of what happens when you don't wear a helmet. Just a simple injury could make you lose your life. So those things are additional points like spending extra lakhs in hospitals. These are the point which imposes more loss to you, not just a personal loss, the health loss, it's also money loss as well. That's what I was trying to convey in the first few lines. So once after that, then I came to the introduction and I was showing the effects of non-usage of helmet. So I gave that hint like the reference of the World Health Organization where the one of the 65% of the people don't wear helmet who die due to road accidents, and the non-usage of helmet is one of the 5 most risk factors. All those things are the effects with the research data, because I can't come and tell you. I had to give the reference to the research data what I made. And then the common excuses. So then I come to the personal connect on. I'm just insisting people to helmet, but what is stopping them from wearing helmet? So that is where I should find out, because I can't just go and tell you to wear a helmet. I should find reasons what is stopping them to using helmet. When I started finding, there are too many data available. So I just restricted myself to the 4 key data points. This is not just my data. I got the data from the research data. Just Googling research, I mean, is Google is a helping hand for us. So that 4 points I took it. So one is they feel it's very sweaty to wear a helmet. One, they don't have a proper vision. Third is they are very confident, and fifth is they go for the legal thing. So what I thought is, so first is the thing is there is a myth on wearing helmet will give you the sweating. So you can choose the right helmet for it, and also I'm just trying to insist them that it's better to sweat blade than
and to bleed.
Sweat. I mean, it's better to sweat than to bleed, because that is where it will. You say you're relating it why it's very important to wear a helmet. So I took those 4 points and then coming with the same body, how I'm going to justify to wear a helmet based on those 4 points, and then benefits of wearing helmet. So what it does. Again, when I mentioned right in the first thing, I mentioned about the health loss, the personal loss, and the money loss. Similarly, I come back here, and the benefits of wearing helmet is it protects your head. It's also not just protects your head; it prevents you from severe injury and also prevents you from medical expenses also. So that is what I'm trying to connect it together. And then when I come to give you a hint on how to the body to tell you to wear a helmet, I should also give you the data about what are the legal aspects of legal complaints to be followed for wearing helmet and how to choose and wear a helmet. That is my six points here. So I just mentioned that is also a research data, credible data. I said the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has given this notification. You can search it also. From June 2021, you need to wear a helmet with ISA. That's very important now. Police can stop also if you don't have an ISA marked helmet. So that point I'm letting you know. And then the next 2 minutes, I was trying to focus on how to wear a helmet. That is the biggest confusion we always have. So that point again, I researched in it through internet. I also had a slide for it on. You can have a slide also. That's what I want to mention here. Being a public speaking, I had to come and speak in front of you with the most hand gestures and all those things. If you are going to present it with the PPT, then you can choose the appropriate PowerPoint also to present it with the do's and don'ts of how to wear a helmet. So again, in the wearing a helmet, I mentioned about the full helmet and off helmet. So the impact of not wearing a full helmet and impact of not wearing a strap also I want to connect it personally with this. Again, it's again a real incident I mentioned. It's nothing is cooked up here. It happened really. One of our staff had this multiple fracture. So that again I'm showing it here. So all these are credible information. It's real information happened. So that gives you the credibility on what is the impact if you don't wear a full helmet. So then again I end up the seventh thing with the same benefits of like I give you data, right? This wearing helmet will reduce 65% of death and 40% of injuries. So that data I'll end up with the conclusion part, and then I'll persuade you to wear helmet and have a safe ride. This is the way I structured the speech. That's the way I partially I try to organize the speech, but I'm trying to fit on to the general purpose and the specific purpose. Nowhere I'm trying to get out of the specific purpose of persuading you to wear helmet. So this is what I came across. So you can give your feedback, like what it could have been better, or what you felt is very important in this speech. You can also give critical feedback, please.
Lakshmi, you could have given number of deaths per hour, some data like that.
Okay. So
per hour, some 6
where you wanted to include that? You mean the beginning?
In the body. In the body.
In the body. Okay. Okay. Again, this is important. Subbody means just a suggestion only. You wanted to include it at the beginning of the body, I mean, or you showing the end of the statistic data when you before concluding, which is more relevant? You think?
Before the start of the conclusion, towards the end of the body.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. But another thing I just want to mention here is when you do the research, right, we get too much of data to give us a speech, right? It might go for 20 minutes, 30 minutes also. Okay. So how we compress it to the specific time, the 5 to 7 minutes is very important. And your point is also valid. So at that time, we need to prioritize which data you're going to give to the audience, which is more impactful to the audience. And thanks, that point is very valid. Yeah, I'll consider that next time. So any other feedback or inputs?
Lakshmi, maybe I will just interject here.
Sure.
Even before we get into the feedback part. One thing that I would want each of you to observe here is we spoke about the introduction, and then we had the last piece of conclusion where he was calling for action, right? That all of you should wear helmet. Such kind of an action was called for. This intermediate body, what you see on screen, you will be able to break it down into the research points that he has added. Maybe he started it with the research. And when you look at the research angle, there are sub-points. One is he's talking about why people don't wear, because always trying to understand why that problem is there will be the right way to structure something. Why, what, how? These are some questions that he's answering all through. So why they don't wear was one. And then he went on to advantages of wearing, always telling advantages of wearing is one way, but that is not very impactful. If I just say, okay, you wear a helmet, you will be safe. If you finish it there, people are not impacted by that. So he goes on to tell not what are the impacts of not wearing. And then he talks about how to choose an helmet. And in that, he is giving the examples of half helmet. So if you look at, these are all the sub-points, more or less. And he has stitched them in a flow. You will be able to see the flow. Why are they not wearing? Then moving on to, yes, some advantages of wearing, then how to choose. And finally, again, adding wherever he's giving a point, in that he gives a personal story or an example or a fact. In some cases, it's an example of a personal story of some employee who fell down. Some cases, it's research data. So these are all corroborating material. If you recollect that structure that we saw in the body, 3 subpoints, with that you will have the example story or the fact, those pieces. This is what he's connecting to. Are you able to relate that connection in the flow where you have subpoints in the body? So this is more what we are trying to see in terms of the structure part. So maybe now you can get back into the earlier discussion of what you want to share regarding the speech or what you observed more. Okay, so is this clear in terms of the organization structure and conclusion? Any more questions? If you look at the bigger picture, it is like Lakshmi had his personal experiences. It starts there, then it gets into wearing a helmet story, then structuring it. So more or less, this is how the thought process goes behind every speech at a bigger level. So now when you're all preparing for the upcoming speech, which is your project to organize your speech, I think already today 2 of them have given the speeches. So next week we'll have the remaining group giving that speech. So when you're choosing a topic, choose a specific topic and be clear whether you only want to inform or you want to inspire. Choose that, then write your speech. Decide your subpoints also. Like I will talk about the advantages of wearing the helmet, or why they don't wear it, or how to choose an helmet. To choose those topics, write the outline, then write the speech. That would be the best approach to have your speech constructed.
And Abhiram, so the people who will deliver the organized speech, they are going to give the get to the point for that, right?
Yeah, get to the point will be a separate topic, Lakshmi, but I thought anyways now they have done, they can apply that in that organizing the speech also. It will be easier for them to choose the topic and narrow it down. Yeah, like you said, that is a third project, choosing a specific.
Because that we covered till now, it's almost we covered the general purpose and purpose. It's covered already. So they also can get from it. For the get to the point, they need to choose the general purpose and purpose.
Maybe the coming speech will only focus, when we are evaluating, we'll focus on organizing the structure. Yeah. But you can start practicing, because once you have a clear topic, it will be easy for you to organize your speech. Is Ratish there? Ratish. Okay, fine. Okay, does anyone else want to add anything? I know we've been around for long. If there's nothing more, then we can wrap up. And you can all start, whoever didn't deliver this speech today can start preparing. Rest of all the non-prepared speakers can start. Wow, someone is trying to use this back at home, is it? Very nice, Deepak. I know. Even Lakshmi sometimes keeps telling how he tries to tell it this way to his daughter. This sounds like that. Nice. Great. Okay, then let's wrap up and let's all meet next week. Thank you so much for all the interest that you show. It is really good to see you all doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for this.
Thanks everyone for spending extra time.